Hey everybody, welcome to another episode. So we've had a change of plans in this travel trip, and originally we were going to go from like Uluru, Alice Springs area, which is the south of Northern Territory, up to Darwin, but we decided to escape the wet season, the rain and the heat, the humidity, and head south. So there's Alice Springs, Uluru, we've crossed the border here, and now we're in Coober Pedy. So we've headed into South Australia now, and we have arrived in Coober Pedy, an amazing town that's very, very famous for opal. It's dubbed as the opal capital of the world, purely because of how much opals are exported and mined in this area. So there's so much to do in this town, but what I thought we'd do first is visit Umuna Museum, which will be an episode in itself, I think, because there's so much to see there. So we're going to go inside now and have a little see what they have to offer. So we just got into the Umuna underground cave, and it's like an opal mine and a lot of historic things in Coober Pedy. One interesting thing we just saw was like this boomerang from start to finish. So obviously you get the log, starts like this, and that was pretty cool to see like the different process to get to the finished product. So this is the longest fence in the world. It stretches 5,600 kilometres from the Great Australian Bight in South Australia all the way to Darling Downs in southeast Queensland. So it's twice as long as the Great Wall of China, and originally it was erected in different sections to keep out rabbits, but people in South Australia started to erect dingo-proof fences, and eventually it all just got joined into one, and now it's the longest dog-proof fence in the world. So this is really interesting, this part about tribal lands once before European settlement in Australia. It says, before European settlement, the Aborigines lived in small, closely related families called bands. These generally numbered from 20 to 50 people and were loosely associated with other bands to form groups, sometimes called tribes. About 500 to 600 tribes of 100 to 1,000 people each once existed in Australia. Each tribe occupied a territory defined by natural barriers such as rivers, mountain ranges, or deserts. There are about 300 distinct Australian languages, and many of these had several dialects. Aboriginal languages have some similarities in vocabulary but can differ significantly in their sound structure. They are marked by precision and brevity of expression. Besides the everyday language, special languages were sometimes used in sacred ceremonies, songs, and when talking to particular relatives. Many languages are still spoken, the most widely used being Pitjantjatjara and other dialects of the Western Desert language. Plesiosaurs are another group of marine reptiles that lived in the world's oceans during the age of dinosaurs. They had 4 paddle-like limbs and probably swam in a manner similar to modern sea lions. Some had extremely long necks and small skulls for hunting fish and squid. Others had short necks and more massive heads for killing other marine reptiles. Plesiosaur fossils are very common around Coober Pedy. In fact, there are more different kinds of plesiosaur found at Coober Pedy than anywhere else in Australia.
First of all, Coober Pedy is really known for this white opal or milky opal. So it has a milky undertone that you can see here, or we can't really see on that side, but it's got a milky undertone, and then the colours sit through it, within it, or on top of it. This is very, very common here in Coober Pedy, and we've got the world's largest store of white opal or opal in general. We also find the crystal opal. So crystal opal here is translucent. Ooh. So you can see here that when I put it on my hand, it actually changed colour. Now, if I grab a text, you'll see. You can see through it.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. That's so cool.
It's cool. It's my favourite opal, favourite of the opals, because it's so versatile. You can do different things with it. So when you put it onto that black backing, you notice how the colour stands out.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's really cool. Not as much of it found here in Coober Pedy, but we do find the crystal opal as well. Yep. Now, black opal has a natural dark undertone to it, and then the colours sit through it, within it, or on top of it. Now, black opal is the rarest of all the opals. There's only about 5% worldwide, so and Lightning Ridge has got the largest store of it. So it's not usually found in Coober Pedy. However, we do have about I'd say 5 fields that have produced the black opal before, but yeah, not a lot is found here. Another form of solid natural opal is boulder opal. So this here is your Queensland boulder opal. You can see here it's got an ironstone backing. Now this is the same kind of stone, this is what you find it like, and then the colour sits on top of it. So the host stone is ironstone, other than here in Coober Pedy it's sandstone. Right. So it's really hard to remove it. You can even see here it's really hard to remove it from the ironstone because it's so hard. Yeah. So we just leave the ironstone on it, and so when you see these stones you can see where it's kind of connected to it on there. So
yeah.
And boulder. Yeah, and that piece here is $150,000 that you were just
okay.
Affordable. So it's the most expensive piece on display that we have. It sits around that $150,000 mark, simply because it's very, very rare to get a boulder split like that. So the stone would have started as a boulder of ironstone. They would have cracked it open and then displayed what was on the inside. So, and you don't usually get the two faces perfect. You can see with the one next to it, they're not perfect faces. If they were, that would be even at probably the same price, because it's or higher because it's got reds in it too. Wow. So. This is a snail shell, so you see the snail on the front there. And the cool part about this one, you can turn it over and you can see where it used to live.
Oh my god, that would just be the most expensive snail shell in the world.
These are all museum pieces, and this one's really fantastic. You can see the snail inside the mussel shell here. So that would have been its last meal. Probably.
Oh my gosh.
There we are.
And what about like all these tube-like ones? What fossils is that
So
from?
these are your belemnites. They are a squid backbone. So because a squid backbone or it's a cuttlefish, it's an ancient family of the squid, and because it can fossilize, it means it then can later opalize. So what we call them is the pipes. Here as the opal, they're usually called as pipes, but they are a squid backbone.
Wow.
And the other cool ones are the little crinoids. It's the starfish down the front there. It's a family of a starfish, the same as a fan worm, kind of like sways around in the ocean type thing. And then the very front are your fish jaws. So you can have jaws of a fish.
And like that one that's like star on star on star.
Yeah, it would be that same crinoid, but it would have been probably growing, and that was a juvenile.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
We've had a little bit of a breakout here, and now we're going to go in and have a guided tour. So they're going to show us down a little shaft and mining stuff. So let's go in and have a little check.
Wow, a little water satchel. A little couch bed thing. Cool.
So the lady said that this bucket of water here, originally you'd have to survive off that per person for a week, and that was because they had to camel it in on a camel's back, and that would take 2 months. So you had to be very frugal with your water.
Oh wow.
Wonderful. So this is our modern dugout. It's a lot nicer in here, that's for sure. Now, the main difference between this room and the one over there, this one has actually been dug by machinery. And you can tell that if you look at the roof, you can see all of the scratch marks from the square tunneling machine they used to dig it. Same with these circles on the walls here, you can see. So how it works, the circles rotate, there's teeth on it, it eats it away and it gets sucked out behind it. So it's a really efficient way of removing a dirt. My favourite part, you get flat walls, so it does feel a little bit more like a house than a cave. If you feel the walls, you'll notice that they are sealed. It's called bondcrete, same stuff that they seal concrete with. Stops the sandstone falling down and the moisture getting into the walls. Now, the floor is always self-levelling concrete, and then we put whatever we want on top of that. We have electricity on the floor or the roof. It really is a personal preference. There's no building code to state where we have to put it really. You can just put it wherever you like. I don't know how many of you guys are staying underground, but one of my favourite parts about living underground is sleeping, because you get an excellent night's sleep because it's very dark and very, very quiet. Are you interested in seeing how dark it can be underground? Do you reckon you'll be all happy for the light to turn off? Can I get you to close that door? Now, your camera might shine your face, however, you can record it if you like.
Yeah, alright.
You will stand up. Wonderful. All right.
I'll turn it off.
I'm going to turn it off in 5 seconds. All right. 3, 2, 1. Pretty amazing.
It's pitch black.
Try and see your hand. I better turn it on. It's going to be there we go. What's going on? Come on, guys. Hats.
Wow.
Feel free to have a nice walk through if you like while we wait. We got plenty of time. That one, yeah, definitely. Is this not okay down here? Do you want to stand here and hear a little bit of it, or are you happy to go straight away?
Is he real?
Of course he's real.
Oh, I think this is like you're not allowed to go in.
I'm sure it'd be blocked off.
There's a block off thing
There's footprints there.
there. Alright. Crazy. Crazy.
I think she's going to start telling us about
Yeah,
some stuff.
might go back.
Yes. And when they line themselves up absolutely perfectly, that's when you get your beautiful coloured opal. So as a miner, what we do is dig the hole above me here down to an opal level, and then you find it and follow it. So you can see all these tunnels are at this 16 metre level underground.
Right.
Now they sit between the surface down to 35 metres deep. They don't really go deeper than that you find opal. Now these levels can sit horizontally as well as vertically, so you can find both, and they all have the ability to produce opal. They can be a major fault like this one that goes all the way through this mine and further. There can be a minor fault like this one, which is probably only goes like 25, maybe 30 metres or something like that. So yeah, we always find opal in a fault line unless it's a fossil. Now fossils can be found anywhere in the sandstone. We don't know when we're going to come across one. So that's why
Commercial mining, is it?
there is no commercial mining. Yeah.
Right. Not allowed or?
Not viable actually. So we don't have any commercial opal miners. The miners are just everyday people like you and me, just tried their luck or trying their luck. Now, why there's no commercial miners, there's a few reasons for it. One, the claim sizes are quite small, so you get a 50 by 100 per person. So if you were to have lots of people involved, if you wanted a big space, you need lots of people involved. Now, even if they did incorporate a commercial permit, then you will have the problem of paying a wage. Now, you don't know how much opal you're going to find, so how much do you determine what your wages are going to be, and how many people do you have on your as employed, because you just don't know if you're going to pay their wages off, let alone your expenses and everything else. So it does become one of those things where it's not really viable to be a business. No.
Oh, get to be interactive down here.
Brings it up to the surface. Now how that works, this fan here will suck all of the dirt from this pipe that would go down the hole that we just saw all the way to wherever you're mining. Now this is great because you can shovel into it, or you can connect it up to your machinery as well, so it's either or. It brings it up to the surface. Now how that works, this fan here will suck all of the dirt from this pipe that would go down the hole that we just saw all the way to wherever you're mining. Now this is great because you can shovel into it, or you can connect it up to your machinery as well, so it's either or. The next one is our core well drill. It's responsible for all the holes around Coober Pedy that haven't been dug by hand. Now it's also responsible for all those little mounds of dirt that you see everywhere. So you see these little mounds of dirt, next to one of them is most likely a hole. How this works, you drill down about 1 metre, take it out, 1 metre, take it out, and do that over and over again until you get down to 35 metres, or the depth of your drill, whatever comes last. Now, every time that dirt is coming out, you're checking it for opal. You want to see opal in that dirt, because this is the first sign of finding opal in your fault lines, or finding those fault lines. So if you see opal in that dirt, you drill a hole next to it. If you see opal again, it gives you reason to go underground, and you will open it up with a machinery or something like that. The next one is our tunnelling machine. So you found opal in that little mound of dirt, so you put your tunnelling machine down. This one's a round tunnelling machine, does these round circles we see here and here. Now, how this works, there's teeth on the front and an arm, and as that arm rotates, it will shave off about 1 inch to 2 inches off at a time. So it's pretty good in that sense. It's kind of nice, slow process, shaving it off. Now this machine connects up to the back of the blower pipe. So as the arm's going around, the rocks are dropping and they're instantly getting sucked up to the surface and out of your way. Now this machine, you really need a keen eye for it because you're watching that fault line. You really want to see if any opal opens up in that fault line. The second you do, you will stop your machine, you will move it back and dig the opal out by hand. We always dig opal out by hand because we don't want to break it and we don't want to lose it. That's the key ones. What they do is they put it into the back of the noodling machine, it gets churned up, gets rid of your dust and your dirt, and then it drops, there you go, you can see that, gets rid of your dust and your dirt, and then it drops all of your rocks onto a conveyor belt, goes through a room lit by ultraviolet light. So ultraviolet light glows opal, which is great. So we're not all opal, Coober Pedy opal. So it glows Coober Pedy opal, and so as that conveyor belt is going past, you're picking all of those glowing pieces up, which is really efficient. So opal looks like when you find it in the fault line. You can see here that fault line extends from here and then comes across and then it opens up with that opal. Now, this is potch, sadly, so it has no colour, so it has no value. However, if you were mining this, you would still take it out of the ground because behind it could be opal or coloured opal. So you never know, it does sometimes turn into colour as well.
You're a wealth of information.
Thank you. I do love it, I really love meeting, so I love this town.
You can tell you're passionate about it.
Yeah, definitely.
What'd you get?
I got a necklace.
Okay. Was it expensive?
It was not cheap.
Okay. Beautiful. Oh, it's got the red in it, babe.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. That is nice. It's similar to your other one.
Yeah, I know.
Is that a triplet?
Yeah, it's a triplet. It was $350.
Yeah.
But with a COVID special, it came down to $280.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. And I have a certificate of authenticity.
Oh, beautiful. Just give it a bit of a wiggle. So red, green, yep, yellows. Wow, that's cool. There you go.
There you have it, folks.
There you have it.
Thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for next week's episode where we take Sadie on the beach for the first time, go wine tasting, and scuba dive a 125-year-old shipwreck.